Hello and welcome. It is the end of the 12th day of May 2019. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. My name is Derek. All bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. It's going to be a little bit of a gloomy video today or this evening just because I feel like it. I've looked at a lot of shit coins today, so I'm going to talk about them a little bit as well. Don't be fooled with this information here. As we can see, it was down $240.19, down 3.37, 3.33 rather percent. There we have it. I've already told you what it is. It was 3.37% down, at least according to the data, according to the Bitstamp number. Well, that's why it says 3.33. Let's put up the Bitstamp data. And there's the 3.37 percent loss that it had. So there you go. 0.04% worse of a day. And you want to talk about how gloomy of a day it is. Today's move was the 328th largest decline spanning the last 8 years. Coming off of the heels of a fantastic gain of 13.79%. And that was the 37th best gain over the last 8 years on the Bitstamp exchange. And I'm using the data that I downloaded and came up to this line. But, I drew this line in myself. For let's just look back at the history of $7,585. At one point, there wasn't any history towards it, and this was one in all the points beforehand. Well, there was no price history at this level. And then it comes up to it, and people are like, oh my goodness, we're at that 75.85 mark. What's so big about it? People are saying on Halloween of 2017. Well, that's going to be a high in 2019 in the second week of May. Oh, okay. No, well, whatever. It was a level that was hit first, resisted it, came down a little bit to 56 and a quarter, and then it just left it, and well, it came back. It came back after it rallied up to that 20,000 number, but not until then. It pierced below it, but obviously found some support after all. It rallied up to about 12, and then it found support there again, and not the next time. Although it got above it here, and then it didn't support it here. Well, resisted it. That's I'm not going to say it's almost good as supporting it, but there we go. It resisted. It gets above it. Failed breakout above it. And then it almost gets there. So obviously that high that we're seeing today is highs not seen since the last decline on August the 2nd. And it was always important to get over these levels. And, well, it's gotten over these ones and it's gotten over this one. I mean, I don't really care too much about the 84. It's all about how the market is playing out right now. And in such, it's going to come down to the weekly term time frame. Once it loads up, there we go. And how it corrects this move. Because this is a full-blown, full throttle trend reversal attempt, as it has had a significant gain above where it left the 18 average of highs at around 4,000. It has done so over a significant amount of periods, for it had a very good week of 26.73%, following it up with a bunch of pause action and two solid weeks in a row, one at 10.6 and the most previous one at 22.16, as it has just completed. Okay, it's just very, very important for this move not to be that failed breakout. When it's going to correct, I don't know. Maybe it's now. Maybe it's later. But it has to at some point. And the higher it goes up, well, the deeper the correction's going to be. And I was saying all that stuff before back in here. That, okay, so we've well, let's just look at where key levels were. At this point, you were breaking a level of resistance at 1150. That's the case, Okay, you're going to expect a decent sized gain thereafter. That should just come without saying. So overextended at 3, you're starting to. But it's got to correct at some point. Okay, there we go. There's that correction because it went to the 18 lows. Now it got above it. Okay, now we're having a decent gain, barely above this. So, was that 1200? How many X performance over previous resistance do you expect? Because at this point, you'd be working at a little over a 3X move from high or previous high. I just shortened it to one syllable or to one syllable, yes. So there we go. It has a little bit of a gain, correctionary move. Now it's a little bit of a gain here. A small correction, but getting decently overextended here when it was at 9. Very getting nicely overextended, and it's got to have that correctionary move. And the overextendedness starting to get out of hand as there was 5 greens in a row. Little bit of a correction, and there was where it started from. But of course, it had a much deeper one than that. For on the monthly chart, getting overextended. Now it spent a decent amount of time. Just because it comes here doesn't mean okay. Once we get to the highs, it's a correctionary move. We can go back in business. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. No, but of course, if you see that there's momentum getting above it, then you can look at that as a favorite. But in situations in here, sometimes you need to have a little bit of these deeper corrections, like was the case in here. Little bit of a deeper one. In fact, a lot of this is becoming very similar. And technically speaking, the last time that Bitcoin was at the 18 average of highs after it last where it last left off decently below the lows, because that's where it was, would take us back to October of 2015. And the amount of time that it spent in the band here, well, once it hit it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 periods with volatility shrinking. And here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I guess, I mean, see, it was a lot different. This one stayed within it, big red down move, and then it had a curved bottom. So spent a bit more time within. You can almost say that its correctionary mode was in here. It's down thrust. This would be comparable to, I guess you could say, almost this down move in here. And then a whole bunch of sideways moves here. There's your sideways moves in here. And so it goes. Therefore, correcting successfully here is going to be very, very important. Buyers are in full control, and this thing can just keep on having up move after up move after up move. After all, when we look at the Bitcoin dominance on the daily term, the overextendedness is most certainly in play. The last time it touched the 18 was on May the 1st, and we are now entering into the 13th day. The last time it lifted off from this level and in still trying to establish a reversal of trend or not being in an uptrend, or at least on when it started. The uptrend would have started on April 21st. And it has not been below it since. It barely touched it here. But it had this major resistance at about 55.1%. Gets above it, and it has just been non stop movements towards the upside. That's just how it goes. Then, when we think about these coins, there is close to 2,200 other cryptocurrencies in the business. There's almost 2,200. Well over 2,000. The 2,000 plus other coins represent 48.57% of the market cap, and Bitcoin represents 61.43. Now, if we only accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tether, and the top 10, I mean, that number would even surge even further. But why do we need so many of these cryptocurrencies? Is there like 50, 100, 300, 500 of these coins pretending to be like Bitcoin? And if so, which ones? What's going to make these other coins that are trading at whatever amount of satoshi somewhere else at the lower volumes and is not even in the top 100 or top 200 in the market cap? What's going to make them the coin I'm going to really really want in 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years down the line? For I've always talked about this like Chuck E. Cheese. If there were tokens that, well, if you got these Chuck E. Cheese coupons, they're good at the games, for the games there and all the stuff there. And I've heard even things about how I've seen the geometry of the not so perfect square of the Chuck E. Cheese pizza. That's not really a conspiracy theory. It's obvious that. Well, anyway, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that's another subject. That those coins, if you have those tokens inside the establishment, are good because you can actually use them for your intended purpose. So if there are some of these cryptocurrencies that are case use coins within a company value somehow, well, then when you need them within the case use, then I understand them at that stage. But a lot of these coins are going to go way up and then way down. Let's take a look at THC. It's doing better than cannabis coin and dope coin. 202 Satoshi. It was at 600. I mean, did you get weed with this coin? And if so, is it skunk weed? Is it really bad? Because there's a supply and demand for such an item. But it's at 202 Satoshi. Obviously, that level is not seen at least, well, 2 days ago. But that's really about it. It's well below this level of support at 252. Weekly chart. Well, I got some Fibonacci lines in at 1,000 and 1,500 and 23 and 34, and it was up over 5,000, so it's lost 25 times its value. But at least we could say it's up from all of these periods in here. A coin gets delisted. Well, a coin gets delisted. This coin was at 143. A bunch of people bought in, and a lot of them are regretting such the event now. Then it goes back down in here to 186, and then up to 230. But you know, all that type of stuff. It breaks down. It was over 200. Now it's at 23. And those 200 levels were pretty low when you looked at it back then. Like, oh my goodness, this thing here fell from like 400. And when it was back at 400, it was like, well, way back when, it was 4,300. Now, who were the ones that, when we look back at the events of what happened, because all of these coins just pumped up like it was no tomorrow during the Christmas season of 2017. Pretty much every single altcoin. And the volume was big, and I know a lot of it you could say speculation. Is this just the normal human psychology that you get these moments where things just go up so much that you have to buy at those levels? I can't figure it out. I really, really can't figure out why you'd be like, yeah, I mean, this here we have a market back in here that was trading in this range here from like 800 down to 320. And next thing you know, it's at like 1800 and all these higher numbers. And you're like, yeah, I want to buy 25. I want to buy 34. I want to buy, oh, 4300. Fear of missing out. FOMO, is that what they call it? And you know what? There's going to be a lot of people that were like, I want to wait for the decline. And at fifth, there was a bit of a decline here, but it's one of these things. If it doesn't scare you, aware you. If it doesn't scare you out, it'll wear you out. And this is most certainly, I think, a true statement for that. And the nature of this game is monstrous, monstrous volatility. And quick little question for anybody on Bittrex, if they know anything about the Bitcoin Cash or I don't even know how to find. I don't know how to find it on the site, but how many deposits are needed for such? Because there's a good chance that if this level breaks the resistance level shown on the screen at the 522 handle, and we're having a test of it now, that I'm probably going to want to sell it. Not guaranteed, probably. I mean, that'll depends on what happens on the other end. But it's like 14 confirmations, I think, on Poloniex, and it took a good 4 hours. And whatever, I mean, I can handle that. But if it's less on Bittrex, the whole point of this is trading this against DGB. So if this breaks out and DGB doesn't have a similar percentage breakout at the same point, I'm going to want to sell this for it. It's pretty close to the ratio now with this increase and the other one's decline. When we look at this on a 4 hour term time frame, a few periods ago in here, it came up to this level. It retested it. That's yesterday at the 1600 timestamp. Several amounts hitting in or around that area from April 30th through that of May the 5th, and some almost we kind of got there, but not really at this stage. But it did hit it here. It kind of almost hit it here, but it has been supporting this level very well. That a break above this, I wouldn't be surprised if this is ready for at least a decent leg higher. And yeah, DGB is definitely getting its ass kicked. And in viewing such on the time frame of the 4 hour, last one that it was before, markets have stayed and remained in a declining 18 average. There was this very brief correctionary phase, and it's the best that it's had in the amount of candles shown in here, where it got barely above it. Price action rose from about 171 up to about 185, but obviously nothing else much more it could do. So it's continuously went straight down. And it has done so not only from this 262 top, which is pretty much, yeah, it's been nothing more than a straight down move. From that point, it's been a water slide, extreme rate of descent move. Uh, Within the downside, it's almost if this is a water slide at a theme park. I mean, your kids are going to be going down at like 60 miles an hour, it seems, because it's way too steep. It's a fast decline. And to me, this thing is either on its way to nothing or it's going through the volatility that it has because it's done these wild moves in the past. And that's not what I wanted to do. Let me just fix that. Here we go. And looking at this before, I mean, there was a long decline in here going from 637 to 242. There was this long, no, it wasn't a long decline. In here, okay size decline here. But the price number was going from 827 down to 242. But after it spends a decent amount of time and through price, you know it's got to go. Oh, it's going to go up, then it's going to go down, then it's going to go up. So after it goes down, the next move is up. But back in this situation in here, this was a spot where it was well over 2,500 and it just kept going all the way down. We can see, if we look at the low, it went below 100. So it's been able to survive it before at these levels. So if it does it again, well, then the price is significantly lower now. And I'll be looking to add some more of this, of course, through different types of ratios. One Litecoin, I've recently done some, and I'll have to wait for the ratio to keep on moving further again. One against GRS, but it's going down too as well. So there really haven't been much. There hasn't been much trading on that combination, which is interesting because those are the two coins on steroids. But this is a steroid move down, and that's what I'm looking for are those types of plays. But anytime you do this type, whenever you're taking it, whatever coins to trade with, it is important to make sure you have ones that basically don't go down long term. And the let's take a look next at PivX because it's been getting its ass kicked as well. I don't see much for negative reviews overall on this coin, but I'm not saying that it's a great one by any means, and I'm definitely not saying it's a bad one. It's had a monstrously large decline though. And this is the coin that I just never thought of after I last sold it. And I last sold it on the 3rd of April at the 20 or so, a little over 20, right near the 18 average of lows. And it apparently worked out, but the market has went straight down, losing more, definitely, well more than half its value. It's very close to losing one or 2/3 of its value just from that point. But even from this high, it has lost 2/3 of its value, and it was already down a lot again before then. It had a little bit of this rally from its January lows, but that rally has obviously failed. It had reached this low before, and I think it's best now just to show a different time frame instead of just showing a whole bunch of different periods. But when viewing such via that of the weekly, this has been down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive weeks in a row. It was down a long bit here. And it had a little bit of a rally, but never was able to get above this 18 average of highs. Had this failed breakout attempt on Christmas Eve, a little bit of this failed breakout attempt here as well, but ultimately, once it broke down below, it was key support. It looks to me just by looking at this that it could have a decent leg lower, but the logarithmic scaling on this leaves a lot to be desired because 2000 to here. Well, let's just find a hair above 2000. In particular, about 20 hair above 21. Right here, 2105. Perfect. So the move from here to here is 4x. If we use a similar sort of move from here, that's 8. Well, that's not 4x. And from here to here, this is 93 up to like 170. That's 2x. No, the logarithmic scale is terrible. But if we process some mathematical Fibonacci, we got a low of about 359 Satoshi and a high just a couple Satoshis below the 180,000 number, which puts the key numbers in at 16,742 and that of 3,860. So that, long story short, target for me is a price pierce below 3,860. Looks to be in store. As far as the previous number, how did 16,742 react to the situation in here? Well, we can see it was pretty much that area in which it found its support at. This is 38.2% from this high and this low. It tested it once, a little bit of a gain, tested again, a little bit of a decent gain, and the third test it broke down below it. The number before that, which we're going to look at, is a 76.4. That comes in at about 41,500. So if we look at 41,500 on here in that proximate area, somewhere in this ballpark area here, we can see that it pierced below it a few times. It spent a lot of time supporting in this area. Once here, then a lift off, supporting it again, another lift off, congesting within it for several periods, and then another lift off higher, supporting it again, a smaller lift off higher, and that was that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 times it successfully supported. The 5th time it failed. So that's why I'd be looking for my next price objective to go down to that of 3,860. Usually at Pierce's Extra, so 3,000 even seems to be a possible order for such. We'll see what the market does, but let's move on. And we'll do so within Theta, which had a down week again. Last week it was down 18.8%. The week before, 18.8%. The week before that, 13.9. Week before that, it was down 8. Week before that, it was only down 1. Week before that, it was down 12.38. Week before that, it was down 7.5. Week before that, it was down 14. Week before that, it was down 30%. Markets go up, markets go down. Now it's at that crucial spot of where it needs to hold. In fact, it's even lower than where I really want to go in a deep level. And how much of it is going to do with the Binance situation this week, I don't know, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But that real must hold area for me was around like 1400 and even maybe high 13s, but it's down to 1252. It's pretty much at all-time lows for the most part, priced against Bitcoin. Now I know again you got to throw the factor in against the dollar. It is above these levels because Bitcoin is on a phenomenal tear right now. And if this is a good coin, then a tremendous buying opportunity, which is what I want to do. I'm going to take the risk reward chance within it because I've seen these big up and down moves happen in the past with so many coins, and I expect it to be again. There is heavy rain coming at this area at this time, so it's going to take me twice as long probably to upload this, and the internet's a little bit slower, but there we have it. A big move up, big move down. A few days ago, Binance had a security breach for that of 7,000 Bitcoin, equating to close to 40 million US fiat dollars. And that was 2% of their net worth. That translates to 2 billion for the other 98%. And they're apparently working on things. They say things are fine, your funds are safe, and on Tuesday they're now saying, which is what they said originally, about a week, with your wallets are gonna be offline. Well, that would be about a week. But I heard on a tweet from Binance that the wallets will be back online on Tuesday because it was the day of the breach. I was looking at this price and I'm like, geez, I gotta buy. I just gotta buy some. It probably might have been May the 9th or I don't know, one of these days. And I'm like, okay, let's log on to Binance. Let's go to my Bitcoin wallet, get my address, send some funds over, and buy some Theta. But I noticed when I went to my wallet, I seen a bunch of suspend buttons. And I thought, okay, that looks fishy. So obviously I find out the security breach, so on and so forth. When the biggest exchange is able to get hacked, well, I used to watch wrestling a lot back in the day, like 1999 when it was so popular. In fact, only time I ever went to a live wrestling event was the largest Monday Night Raw in the history, which was at Toronto at the stadium formerly known as Skydome. 40 plus thousand in attendance. And when this line Stone Cold Steve Austin would be like, don't trust anybody. So, in that sense, who do you trust the most? What's the best way of handling on the whole exchange situation? So on and so forth. Who's going to end up acting out to these situations a lot better? Because Binance has been in gear with their security breach, where Cryptopia had a security breach on January the 14th, and they are still just 2 days now away from the 4 month anniversary of that breach and the 3 month anniversary of them being allowed back in their building from the crimes of the New Zealand police. That there's still a long ways to go on Cryptopia to having a functional uh, wallet working and a platform. So how things work in within this type of stuff, is this going to be like in a day and age, the whole reason why people are talking about cryptos is because of banks, and I mean the money's not yours there, and literally it's not. It's a loan, and whenever you want to funds, what via that of withdrawing cash through whichever methods or using it as some sort of payment of debt, it's like it's like asking for your money back. Okay, you want to, okay, so you want $800, here you go. And the whole thing is you don't control it. That's the problem, and that's why the whole cryptocurrency thing, the private keys, you hold it, you don't own it kind of deal, you don't, all that thing, which is true. And a decent, like a new system format might have to take place on the crypto sphere. A lot of wild things can come out, especially when you got such a large market cap like the cryptocurrencies. That there's going to be a lot of people trying to scam, and that's most certainly something that you're going to want to look out for. And there could be a lot of turbulent times. We might not, like, we could see a major short-term bunch of plunge of coins because of this type of event happens, and this exchange happened, this newsworthy event happened on this exchange that is going to happen soon. Those are the things that are most certainly worth considering along the way. And again, to over 2,000 coins. Why do I want to have over that many? You got a whole bunch of people trying to do what, or you don't need to have too many. It's almost like in a city of 1 million people putting up like 500 Pizza Huts. Really? 500? Think that's not a bit too many? Or 5,000 total pizza places in total in a 1 million population town. Just a large number. Or putting um, a gas station on every corner. Might be, sometimes there's just a little too many of them. And are we at that time? And is 8,000 or 50,000 cryptocurrencies a little too many as well? All right, another spectacularly long video. Yeah, but for Theta, I'm just looking to buy some more. I'm going to be waiting on Tuesday. Right now, the ratio is getting not so close for me to trade with Dash, but closer because it's went up a couple days ago. I bought some more Dash a couple days ago, but that's because I can buy it on a different exchange. But it's been going straight down for the last few days. It was at the 28 handle down to 17. It's got the possible of a failed breakout here. If that's the case, I'll be looking to buy it down in here. How will I be doing so? Well, one of and or two measures. One, because theta doesn't go down and it goes sideways or up and I'll trade the ratio. Or two, I'll just buy some more because that and theta will go down together. When you look at this on the monthly chart, it's holding in within this multiple hit level, and it has been doing so for multiple period of time. And that if it breaks, maybe it loses half its value. And for what it's worth, if that's all you're saying for a long-term move on the monthly is if it breaks a pattern like this and it only loses half, that's pretty tame in comparison to the rest of the other cryptocurrency realm. So I'll leave you with the 4-hour term time frame for Bitcoin having its first correctionary move test since leaving the band on May the 8th. And even then, it's been pretty much in that straight up move since the end of April. Have yourself a great upcoming week. Take care. Bye bye.